He was just a regular guy living a regular life with a regular job. He had a family, a house, and a car. He went to work, came home, and spent time with his loved ones. But there was something different about him, something that set him apart from the millions of other regular guys out there, a regular guy with an unusual hobby. While most people spent their free time watching TV, playing sports, or hanging out with friends, he had a passion for the stock market. He wasn't a professional trader or a Wall Street analyst. He was just a guy who loved to dig into financial statements, analyze stock charts, and discuss his findings with anyone who would listen. Keith Gill, known online as Roaring Kitty and Deep Fucking Value, liked to talk stocks. He wasn't just any stock enthusiast. He had a unique perspective and a knack for finding value where others saw none. His online persona, Roaring Kitty, was a reflection of his passion and enthusiasm for the stock market. He would spend hours researching companies, analyzing their financials, and sharing his insights with his growing community of followers. But not just any stocks. He liked the ones Wall Street had left for dead, the stocks that were beaten down, overlooked, and dismissed by the so-called experts. He believed that there was value to be found in these underdogs, and he was determined to prove it. He wasn't afraid to go against the grain, to challenge the conventional wisdom, and to take risks that others wouldn't dare to take. Gill saw something in GameStop, a struggling video game retailer. While most analysts had written off the company as a relic of the past, doomed to fail in the face of digital downloads and online competition, Gill saw potential. He believed that the company had a loyal customer base, a strong brand, and the ability to turn things around. He saw value where others saw only decline. He saw value where others saw only decline. He spent countless hours poring over the company's financial statements, analyzing its business model, and studying its stock charts. He believed that the market had undervalued GameStop, and he was convinced that the stock was poised for a comeback. He wasn't just speculating, he had done his homework, and he had a well-thought-out investment thesis. He bought, and he told everyone who would listen why they should too. He wasn't just talking the talk, he was walking the walk. He put his money where his mouth was, and he encouraged others to do the same. He shared his research, his analysis, and his conviction with his followers, and he built a community of like-minded investors who believed in his vision. His weapon of choice? Not a Bloomberg terminal, but YouTube. While Wall Street analysts relied on expensive tools and sophisticated software, Gill used the power of social media to spread his message. He created videos, live streams, and posts, sharing his insights and engaging with his audience. He wasn't just a passive observer, he was an active participant in the conversation, and he used his platform to educate and inspire others. His platform? Not a mahogany-lined boardroom, but his basement. He didn't have the resources or the connections of a Wall Street firm, but he had something even more valuable: authenticity. He was just a regular guy, sharing his passion and his knowledge with the world. He wasn't trying to sell anything or promote himself. He was just being himself, and that resonated with people. And then it happened. GameStop's stock price, once left for dead, began to rise. It started slowly at first, but then it gained momentum. The market began to take notice, and more investors started to buy in. The stock price soared, and what had once seemed like a long shot became a reality. And rise. The stock price continued to climb, defying expectations and confounding the experts. It became a phenomenon, a symbol of the power of the little guy to take on Wall Street and win. The story of GameStop and Roaring Kitty captured the imagination of people around the world, and it became a rallying cry for a new generation of investors. The little guy, it seemed, had found a way to beat Wall Street at its own game. It was a David and Goliath story, a tale of perseverance, passion, and the power of community. Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty, had shown that with enough determination, research, and conviction, anyone could make a difference. He had turned the stock market on its head, and in the process, he had inspired millions of people to believe in themselves and their ability to achieve their dreams. His YouTube channel, once a small corner of the internet, had exploded in popularity. People from all walks of life were tuning in to hear his insights, to learn from his analysis, and to be a part of his community. He had become a symbol of hope and empowerment, a beacon of light in a world that often seemed dominated by the powerful and the privileged. The media took notice, and soon, the story of Roaring Kitty and GameStop was everywhere. News anchors, financial analysts, and commentators were all talking about it, trying to make sense of what had happened. It was a story that transcended the stock market, a story about the power of the individual to make a difference. Keith Gill found himself in the spotlight, being interviewed by major news networks, invited to speak at conferences, and celebrated as a hero by many. But through it all, he remained humble and grounded. He never lost sight of who he was or where he came from. He was still just a regular guy, with a passion for the stock market and a desire to share that passion with others. He continued to engage with his followers, answering their questions, sharing his insights, and encouraging them to do their own research and make their own decisions. He wasn't just a guru or a celebrity. He was a mentor, a teacher, and a friend to many. He had built a community based on trust, respect, and mutual support, and that community continued to grow and thrive. The impact of Roaring Kitty and the GameStop phenomenon was profound. It wasn't just about making money, it was about challenging the status quo, questioning the conventional wisdom, and empowering individuals to take control of their financial futures. It was a movement, a revolution, and it had changed the landscape of the stock market forever. Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty, had become a legend. He had shown that with passion, perseverance, and a little bit of luck, anyone could achieve greatness. He had inspired millions of people to believe in themselves, to take risks, and to pursue their dreams. And in the end, that was his greatest achievement of all. The legacy of Roaring Kitty lives on in the new generation of investors he inspired. They are more informed, more engaged, and more empowered than ever before. They are challenging the old ways of thinking, embracing new technologies, and creating a more inclusive and democratic financial system. They are the future of the stock market, and they owe a debt of gratitude to the regular guy who showed them the way. And so the story of Roaring Kitty comes to an end, but his impact will be felt for years to come. He was just a regular guy with an unusual hobby who dared to dream big and make a difference. He showed us that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and never give up. And for that, we will always be grateful. GameStop wasn't alone. AMC, the movie theater chain, also found itself swept up in the frenzy. These weren't just stocks anymore. They were memes, symbols of a populist uprising against the financial elite. On one side, you had Wall Street hedge funds, used to getting their way, betting billions that these companies would fail. On the other, a ragtag army of individual investors, empowered by social media and fueled by a shared sense of frustration with a system rigged against them. The battle lines were drawn. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about power. Who controlled the market? The internet has a way of democratizing things. Information once closely guarded by Wall Street gatekeepers was now freely available to anyone with a smartphone. Reddit's Wall Street Bets forum became the digital battleground. Here, millions of users shared stock tips, memes, and battle cries. It was chaotic, irreverent, and utterly captivating. Suddenly, anyone could be an investor. You didn't need a finance degree or a seven-figure portfolio. All you needed was a Robinhood account and a belief that together you could take on the big guys. The hedge funds had made a fatal miscalculation. They had bet against GameStop by shorting the stock, borrowing shares and selling them, hoping to buy them back later at a lower price. But they hadn't anticipated the power of the crowd. As the price rose, the short sellers were forced to buy back their borrowed shares to cover their losses, driving the price even higher. This is the dreaded short squeeze. The more the price rose, the more the short sellers lost, and the more they had to buy. It was a vicious cycle, and the little guy for once was in control. A new language emerged on Wall Street Bets. Diamond hands referred to those who held their stock, no matter how volatile the price swings. Paper hands, on the other hand, were those who sold at the first sign of trouble, weakening the collective effort. The mantra became buy and hold. Don't let the volatility scare you. This wasn't just about making money, it was about sending a message. It was a high-risk, high-reward strategy, fueled by a potent cocktail of FOMO, fear of missing out, and a genuine belief that the little guy could finally stick it to the man. Wall Street didn't take this lying down. Hedge funds scrambled to cover their losses, while others cried foul, claiming market manipulation. Robinhood, the trading app credited with democratizing investing, restricted trading in GameStop and other meme stocks, drawing the ire of users who accused them of siding with the hedge funds. The establishment was fighting back, using its considerable resources to regain control of the narrative and the market. The GameStop saga may have faded from the headlines, but its impact is still felt today. Millions of new investors, many of them young and tech-savvy, had gotten their first taste of the market. They had learned that the stock market wasn't just some abstract concept discussed by talking heads on CNBC. It was a real place where they could make their voices heard and their money work for them. The genie was out of the bottle. The rise of the retail investor had begun.